Good evening. Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 10. Sorrow in southern Utah. 4 young men, all from St. George, have died in a plane crash. And tonight, the investigation is just barely getting underway as federal aviation officials have arrived on scene. They need to figure out why the plane went down. Lad Egan is on our top story from the St. George Airport tonight. And Lad, many questions here tonight. Do we have some answers?
We are just beginning to figure out what happened. Federal investigators from the FAA and NTSB arrived on scene just late this afternoon, so their process is beginning, as is the grieving process for the city. You know, it took hours for the crash to be discovered, even more time to identify the victims and finally notify their families. And the plane tonight is still out on the end of the runway where it crashed. I'm told the police chief and a chaplain tonight are going to the families' homes of each of those young men killed, notifying them of this tragedy.
We can confirm that the 4 involved lived in the St. George area.
4 young lives taken too soon.
They had so much for their future. I mean, they had future families, future wives, future kids.
The 4 men, all said to be in their 20s, boarded a Cessna 172 single-engine plane sometime after 1 a.m. Saturday. Friends say the pilot was very experienced.
He's a great pilot from what I understand. He does foreign flights.
But something went wrong, and during takeoff, the 4-seat aircraft came crashing to the ground just 300 feet off the runway.
This has been a huge tragedy for our area.
The crash sat unnoticed until around 6 a.m. when airport workers arrived. City officials say it appears all died on impact.
It's with heartfelt sorrow that we extend our condolences to those who are involved in this crash today.
While friends of the victims leave flowers, federal investigators comb through the wreckage with no obvious signs as to what brought the plane down.
This is the first fatality we've had here at the new airport, and for some, a first-time experience dealing with this. And
life can just be taken from you so quickly.
As for a cause, most people are talking about the high winds last night. This plane took off, maybe around 2 or 3 a.m. and the winds were very strong last night, but we just don't know because no one saw the crash. There were no radio communications and there were no security cameras that caught any of the footage. The police tell us that out of respect for the families, we're not going to release the names tonight as police are still notifying everyone involved. It's been a very difficult process as it's a holiday weekend and many have been traveling. Brian, so very sad here at the scene tonight as friends and family drive by to see the wreckage. Most were expecting a holiday weekend with family, and now 4 families are dealing with a terrible loss. Yeah. Live here in southern Utah, now back to you.
Lad, this plane crashed overnight. It took hours for people to actually spot the wreckage. Would it have made a difference had the folks seen this wreckage, known about the plane crash earlier in terms of the deaths?
Yeah, it's a question that some have been asking. The airport here in St. George obviously does not have an air traffic control tower, so pilots take off using more of an automated radio system and talk with other pilots. But I'm told this crash was pretty bad and that it appears they died on impact, so it doesn't appear anyone would have been saved if help were closer at hand.
Lad Egan for us on the deadly plane crash in southern Utah. Thanks, Lad.